The first mistake Commander Virel made was assuming rank could be measured by posture. The second was assuming humans displayed authority the way civilized species did. The third mistake was speaking. The Galactic Concord Assembly Chamber was a cathedral of glass and gravitational architecture, suspended above the capital world of Eshera Prime. Representatives from 112 species hovered, perched, or anchored themselves according to biology and custom. Light bent gently through the dome, refracting through banners of the Concord unity, cooperation, and mutual defense etched in every language. Commander Virel of the Threxian Union stood tall at her podium, armored frills polished, pheromone fields perfectly calibrated. She had memorized the briefing. She had rehearsed her objections. She had been chosen because she was precise, and she was very sure of herself. Across the chamber, seated far below the elevated platforms reserved for admirals and heads of state, was a human. He sat alone, no escort, no insignia, no ceremonial uniform, just a faded dark jacket, boots worn thin at the soles, and hands folded loosely in his lap. His hair was grey, cropped short. His face bore old scars, fine white lines like fractures in stone. A veteran, Virel assumed, perhaps ceremonial, a symbolic observer, the way humans liked to parade their past glories. She barely spared him a thought, until she read the seating, manifest again. Observer, Terran Systems. Designation, Elias Mercer clearance. Absolute, that was. Odd Virel narrowed her compound eyes. Absolute clearance was reserved for two categories, heads of state and system reset authorities. There were only 3 known reset authorities in the galaxy. All of them were legends. All of them were dead. She dismissed the thought. Humans exaggerated. The session began. The Threxian Union formally objects, Virel announced, voice amplified through harmonic translators, to the Concord's reliance on Terran strategic oversight protocols. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. She continued, emboldened. The Human Confederation joined the Concord less than 3 centuries ago, yet their systems now underpin our defense grids, our fail-safes, our continuity frameworks. She gestured sharply. No civilization should hold that much leverage. Several delegates nodded. VIRLL allowed herself a flicker of satisfaction. Our analysts have reviewed the Terran Last Light Doctrine, she said. It is inelegant, redundant, excessively destructive. Entire star clusters sterilized to deny enemy expansion. This is not strategy. This is fear. She turned her gaze deliberately toward the human observer below. And now we learn, she added coolly, that a lone human veteran has been granted unrestricted access to Concord emergency systems. A ripple of laughter. Restrained but present, Virel tilted her head. With respect, does the Confederation truly believe nostalgia is a substitute for command? The chamber quieted. The human did not react. He didn't look up, didn't shift, didn't bristle. He simply sat there. Virel felt a strange irritation. If the human representative would like to explain, he's not a representative, interrupted the speaker of the Concord. A massive avian entity whose feathers shimmered with embedded data filaments. Virel paused. Then why is he here? The speaker hesitated. That hesitation was the moment Virel should have stopped. Instead, she pressed. My people have identified a flaw in Terran oversight architecture, she said crisply. A single-point authority manual activation. One individual, no council confirmation, no quorum. She spread her claws. A system designed to trust one human. She looked directly at Elias Mercer now, a dangerous design choice. The human slowly raised his eyes. They were calm, not cold, not hostile, just tired. Elias Mercer had learned long ago that silence unsettled people more than anger. He studied the Threxian commander with the same expression he once used on young lieutenants who thought war was an equation. She was intelligent, confident, proud. She had no idea what she was standing on. Commander Virel, he said at last, his voice unamplified yet carrying effortlessly. May I ask how you identified this flaw? Virel straightened. Your command architecture allows an individual, presumably to initiate a full spectrum reset of Concord systems. Yes, without oversight. Yes, without debate. Yes. Murmurs swelled again. Virel smiled thinly. Then you admit the danger. Elias nodded once. I admit the necessity. The chamber fell silent. Virel scoffed. You expect us to believe the safety of 100 species rests on the restraint of one aging soldier. Elias considered her. Then he asked, softly, Commander, do you know why humans don't automate extinction-level decisions? Virel hesitated. Emotion clouds judgment. That's what your analysts concluded. He asked gently, yes. Elias exhaled. No, he said. Emotion defines judgment. He stood. The chamber's sensors lit up, instantly alerting, scanning, cross-referencing. Systems hesitated, then stalled, as if encountering permissions they didn't know how to deny. Elias did not look at them. He looked at Virel. We tried automation, he said. Long before first contact, we built perfect machines, logical machines. They optimized survival. His voice remained steady. They concluded that preemptive annihilation was always statistically favorable. Virel's frills stiffened. So we shut them down, Elias continued. Every last one. And we buried the codes so deep they'd never resurface. He gestured faintly. What you call a flaw is a scar. Virel swallowed. Then why keep such power at all? Elias's gaze hardened not with anger, but with memory. Because sometimes, he said, there are things worse than extinction. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as archival projections activated -UNBIDDEN.images filled the dome. Burning worlds, shattered stars, species twisted into weapons by entities that wore intelligence like a mask. The null choir, an enemy erased from most records because memory itself became a vector. Virel recoiled. That data is sealed. Elias nodded. It was, until you flagged the system. Her blood chilled. You wanted proof, he said. The system responded. The speaker's voice trembled. Observer Mercer. Are you initiating? No, Elias said quietly. I'm checking the clock. A timer appeared. Fail-safe window, 0 hours, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Virel stared. What does that mean? It means, Elias replied, that something noticed your inquiry. The chamber erupted into chaos. Sensors screamed. Long-range arrays detected movement not in real space, but in the gaps between causality. The null choir had heard the echo. Virel backed away, horror flooding her system. You said they were gone. They are, Elias said. They're also patient. The timer ticked down. 0:01:30, the speaker pleaded. What do we do? Elias looked around the chamber at the species he had defended without their knowing, for longer than most of them had existed. We reset, he said. Virel shook her head. You'll erase our networks, our histories. Yes, our fleets will be blind. Yes, but we'll survive, he finished. Silence. Virel's voice broke. You'll condemn us to chaos. Elias met her gaze. No, he said. I'll give you a chance to rebuild without being eaten. Alive by something that learns through suffering. The timer reached. 0 hours, 0 minutes and 30 seconds. Understood then. The flaw wasn't the system. The flaw was that someone like her could find it. She bowed her head. Do it. Elias closed his eyes. Not in prayer, in remembrance. He pressed nothing. There was no button. The system responded to him the way a weapon responds to a steady hand. Reset. Iron 98 swallowed the chamber. When the Concorde systems came back online days later, the galaxy was quieter. No trace of the null choir remained. Much was lost. Much had to be relearned. And in every rebuilt archive, a single line was preserved untouchable, untranslated. When the end must come, let it be chosen by someone who remembers why the beginning mattered. Elias Mercer was gone. No record of how. Only a chair left empty in the assembly chamber and a flaw no one dared call a flaw again. Asterisk.